By the way, football started last night. Cannot be more happy. Now, the game was good if you like the Broncos. The game was terrible in the second half if you like the Ravens. Peyton Manning only threw, 7 touchdowns. Whoever had him in fantasy football, we were talking right before we went on, Cenk Uygur said that the record was Michael Vick a few years back, who had 63 fantasy points. Peyton Manning put up 64 fantasy points. That is a TYT record, which means Peyton Manning gets absolutely nothing from us because we're broke. So, okay, here's basically what happened. Peyton Manning threw 7 touchdowns. He lost the glove, and yet all the people, including myself, that were worried about, how exactly is the receiving core going to fare out? And, won't that take away touches if Wes Welker comes from Demaryius Thomas and Eric Decker? And, yeah, it doesn't matter. Here were the stats for each of those guys. Demaryius Thomas, not only did he have a 78-yard screen pass that basically solidified the 7th touchdown pass from Peyton Manning last night. Who's lined, by the way, and then I'll get into the receivers. 27 of 42, 462 yards. God, I never thought that the Ravens defense would be that bad when they added Chris Conte and they added Elvis Dumervil. I was so incredibly wrong. And Denver didn't even have Von Miller and Champ Bailey. I thought that would be a bigger weakness, but hey, whatever, it happens. So here were the lines on the receivers. Demaryius Thomas, 5 catches, 161 yards, 2 touchdowns. Julius Thomas, 5 catches, 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. Wes Welker, 9 catches, 67 yards, 2 touchdowns. Peyton Manning could have maybe thrown for 8, or he could have at least added more yards on top of that if it was not for Eric Decker dropping every ball that came his way. Now, here is the interesting part, and then we'll get into your tweets in just a moment. Peyton Manning, 18 months ago, was brought in by Denver after neck surgery, and of course the Colts could not afford to re-sign him because they wanted to go after Andrew Luck, which is working out in their favor greatly, at least after 1 year. Did anyone see this coming? And I'm not calling Peyton Manning a god. I'm not saying that he is the best football player of all time, but he is presenting us with evidence that he is still on top of his game at 37 years old and after 3 neck surgeries. That's saying something about a guy than just your average run-of-the-mill quarterback. Granted, Peyton Manning certainly is not that. Cenk has his certain thoughts on Peyton Manning in the playoffs, but I'm just saying, if you saw this coming, kudos to you, because you probably didn't, and you're lying to yourself. Here's the other interesting part. Danny Trevathan had an interception. He made a great play on the ball, great jump of the route. And then he's going down, and he pulls a Deshaun fucking Jackson and drops the ball before he goes into the end zone. And then I think he probably got benched. So now I asked you guys to chime in on Twitter on what you think about the game. Here were your thoughts. James Owen says, I don't know much about American football. Well, that's honest. But that Peyton guy is really good at throwing that oval thing. The one who knocks. Looks like he's taking a selfie with an iPad. That's the first time I've ever seen that. Kudos to you, sir. Says, Ravens look incredibly suspect. Bengals should run away with that division, and the Broncos are going to ease through the AFC West. Again, it is just one game. Let's not jump the gun here. But here is your area of concern. Your defense gave up 7 touchdowns. Look, every team has its day. It could be a bad day at the office. Granted, it is under a much harsher microscope after the game because we're all watching those games, and this was opening night. You certainly wanted to see the Ravens at least put up some points. If not that, then probably, I don't know, maybe add a little something on offense. Oh, wait, they had a field goal in the second half. My apologies. But saying that the Bengals are going to run away with that division, I still think the Ravens do. Fernando Isasi says, living in Spain, and I stayed up to watch the whole game. Peyton is a beast, no doubt about it. Hope it's a start to a great season. Dion Grain says, I'm from Denver, and I'm worried we have no running game. That was an area of concern for me as well when I was watching this game objectively. The stats for the Denver running game, 23 carries, 65 yards. That is an average of 2.8 yards per carry. In other terms, not good. Surprisingly, the Ravens average the same amount per carry. Now, the reason that I think Denver gets a pass is because Peyton Manning was on fire, and you still have a two-headed monster in Noshawn Moreno and the rookie Monte Ball. 2 solid running backs that are absolutely going to carry the team at times when Peyton Manning is seeing guys blitz from every which way and they're going to be forced to run the ball. they're going to be successful at it. I have no doubt about it. So now I'm asking you guys to chime in these comments below, and I'll read them with my eyeballs. So leave a comment there. Give this video a thumbs up. That would be cool. And click on these buttons, mainly that one. Click on that button to help us and support us to subscribe for more sports content.